So are we fully trusting of Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback Baker Mayfield as a top 10 to 12 fantasy football quarterback for 2025? It's Fantasy Sports Plus, another player analyzer video for you, and we're talking about Baker Mayfield. And needless to say, this has been a very interesting career so far for Mayfield. Of course, the number one overall pick with the Cleveland Browns, absolutely bombed out in Cleveland. And then he becomes a bit of a journeyman. Goes to Carolina, goes to St. Louis Rams, and doesn't really do much of anything as far as sticking around there. But then he ends up in Tampa Bay, wins a training camp battle a number of years ago, and then the last two seasons in particular, he's been unbelievable. Top 12 guy each of the last two seasons, second in the NFL in passing touchdowns last year with 41, and he finished as QB4 in 2024 as well. Just an unbelievable season for Mayfield. Like I said, 41 touchdown passes, 4,500 yards. Like, that's just crazy numbers for Baker Mayfield. 4,500 passing yards, and he ran for 378. No, Baker Mayfield wasn't a runner by any means. Since coming into the NFL until last season, he showed he can get out of the pocket. He can pick up some additional yardage on the ground, and 378 yards and 3 more scores. So Mayfield accounts for a total of 44 touchdowns last season in a blockbuster fantasy MVP worthy campaign. Every week, it seemed, he was throwing for 2 touchdowns. I believe it was 11 of 17 games, at least 2 passing scores. And under the leadership of offensive coordinator Liam Cohn, they threw the football exponentially around the goal line, or in the red zone for that matter. They had Bucky Irving, but Irving was really used more leading up to the 20-yard line. And then they turned to the passing game. It was just Baker Mayfield throwing back to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin until he got hurt. And Cade Otton, who had a really nice season. So Baker Mayfield, this is 2 years in a row now that he has done this, and he did his best work last season. So absolutely, we need to consider him a top 12 guy, maybe even a top 8 guy. The only real hiccup here for me, and they drafted Emeka Ekbuka from Ohio State. I always have trouble with that name. They still have Otton. They brought back Chris Godwin to join Mike Evans, who just continues to put forth big year after big year. So he has 4 legitimate targets, not to mention Bucky Irving out of the backfield, who's a tremendous receiver. There are weapons all over the place. I think easy 4,200 passing yards. 30 touchdowns seems almost a given. I have him for 38 scores, passing touchdowns. Now, listen, he's the gunslinger. He's going to throw interceptions. Baker Mayfield, even last year, threw higher level of interceptions than usual, higher average of interceptions than usual. I think he's going to throw about 14 this upcoming season. I have him for 274 rushing yards and additional score. But the only concern is, Cohen is now in Jacksonville leading the Jaguars as the head coach. So anytime you change the offensive coordinator in Detroit, we have the same issue with Ben Johnson, who left. There's a little bit of a concern there, but not too much. This is what makes the Tampa Bay Buccaneers strong. Baker Mayfield throwing the football all over the yard. They would be foolish for them to not continue with this. So listen, if you choose to ignore the big 3 of Jaden Daniels, really, if you want to put the big 4 with Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and you want to start looking at that next group of guys, I have Joe Burrow. I would take Joe Burrow over Baker Mayfield, absolutely. I don't think there's any question there. But you can have a conversation with Pat Mahomes and Baker Mayfield. I actually think Mayfield is the better investment, especially now that he's running a little bit. And then you get into the Bo Nix, Jared Goff group there. I'm taking Mayfield over all those guys. Let me know what you think. Post in the comments below. More videos coming soon. Make sure you get your fantasy football draft guide. Use the PayPal link. PDF version will be coming your way soon.